I'm dedicating this next video to a roundup of what's happening with medical recruitment here in Australia. Hi there, my name is Dr. Anthony Well and I'm the Career Doctor. I'm here on YouTube to help you manage your medical career. And today we're talking about medical recruitment in 2020 for 2021 and maybe the back end of 2020. And I think it's important to have a look at this because, with the whole COVID situation, there's a lot of uncertainty about what's going on. So I'm going to dedicate this video, we're doing it in April, May of 2020, to what the situation currently is around medical recruitment in the country of Australia. We're going to look at the situation for medical students. We're going to look at the situation in terms of what we call the annual RMA campaign. So these are the recruitment campaigns that all the states and territories do for resident level, but also specialty trainee jobs here in Australia. We're going to touch on the prospects for international medical graduates. And then at the very end of the video, I want to make a special announcement about things that I'm doing in the Career Doctor space through my company Advanced Med to help you guys be better prepared to take up opportunities when they come around. Now, as per usual, there'll be lots of links to some of the things that I mentioned, some of the other videos, etc., in the description below. So let's dive in. So the first thing to talk about is interns, and we kind of know from a video I've recently posted that internship is going according to schedule in Australia. We're starting on the 4th of May for opening of the applications around the country in all the states. Applications are closing as scheduled on the 4th of June. New South Wales, Victoria, as well as looking at Queensland Health campaigns on track. Kudos to them, by the way, for having an Aboriginal and Torres Strait doctor initiative there. I didn't pick that up before. So whilst the process for the recruitment of interns is on schedule, there are some concerns because we know that a lot of the medical students at the moment are still not on placement. They've essentially been kicked out of the hospital because of concerns around social distancing and the impact of COVID-19. And whilst there have been lots of positive announcements from the Medical Board, the Medical Deans of Australia and New Zealand and the Australian Medical Council about being understanding of what's going on, being open to more flexible ways of training our medical students, there is still a little concern that will everyone graduate on time towards the end of the year. So we're hoping with the way COVID is shaping, the issue around social distancing in our hospitals, which is a real problem. Our hospitals are just not made for social distancing. The wards, etc., they're often very cramped spaces. Even the modern hospital environments didn't anticipate that we would need to be 2 meters apart from each other when we're working. So it's quite understandable why medical students and even other staff are kind of being distanced in the hospital and how it's a little bit difficult to carry out business at the moment. So hopefully as the rules around social distancing within hospitals also start to relax as well as they do at home, we might be able to get some of the medical students back on placement. Otherwise, we've got to look at innovative models. So one of the other kind of interesting things at the moment is that, unlike in other parts of the world, we've actually got ahead of this situation of COVID quite quickly, and we've been reasonably successful in suppressing the virus. And with our lockdown and social distancing rules, etc., actually the hospitals in many cases are not as busy as they used to be. So that's also a little bit of a problem if you've got people trying to learn in this space because there's not enough patients coming in to learn from and to get that clinical experience. So again, hopefully that improves, but we'll come back to this issue of the fact that actually the hospitals are a bit quieter at the moment because it's impacting on the workforce issues. So the question is, will medical students be able to graduate on time at the end of the year? Everyone's working to make sure that that does happen, but there are still a few questions around that. So let's move on to the RMA campaigns and the process of trainee selection in Australia. This is equivalent to what you guys in North America might call the match. We're talking about resident jobs, but not in the way that many people think of resident jobs. So we don't call our specialty trainees here in Australia residents. Residents is really the job, the resident medical officer's job is really the job you do after internship, and you might do 1 year, 2 years, 3 years of that. And finally, then you apply for what in most places are called a registrar position. And they're the jobs that usually reflect that you're into specialty training through one of the colleges in Australia. So anyway, every year, every state and territory in Australia conducts what's called an RMO campaign, or an annual medical recruitment campaign. And they're looking to recruit interns and residents into other sort of pre-trainee jobs, other resident jobs, as well as this is the way we work out most of the recruitment around specialty training. But it varies from situation to situation. Some colleges are very well invested in this and they actually lead the selection, whereas in other cases, the employers, the hospitals, lead the selection in terms of advertising positions and recruiting to people. And this is where we see a bit of a point of difference in some cases and what's happening around the RMO campaign. So the first thing is, generally speaking, these campaigns kick off around June every year around the country. Usually it starts with some of the smaller states and territories and then gets into the Queensland, Victoria, and New South Wales tends to be the last. But it's roughly the same periods, around June when you put your applications in, usually around, there might be some interviews early in July, August. Usually most of the bulk of the interviews are in about September through to October. The second rounds come out around September, October, and that's when often international medical graduates might have an opportunity to apply for jobs, that sort of thing. The problem is a lot of the jurisdictions are thinking about how to conduct these campaigns, and in some cases they're not quite certain about where to go. So the options seem to be, do we conduct them as usual? Do we conduct them with a bit of a slight delay? Do we recruit to certain positions that we know we can recruit to, particularly those ones that don't maybe require college involvement, and I'll get to that situation in a sec. Or do we even cancel and kind of roll people over in positions to next year, sort of, reappoint rather than recruit? So I think the extreme options on both sides, the extreme option of cancelling, rolling over, I can't see is going to happen. I already see evidence that recruitment is going to happen in some way, shape or form this year, and I think that's going to be important. Similarly, recruitment as usual is probably not going to happen because of some knock-on effects, particularly around some of the college processes. Remembering, we're talking about thousands of applicants for thousands of positions, and whilst there's a paper or electronic component to that in terms of submitting stuff, a lot of people, well, in most cases, majority of cases, people need to be interviewed. Now, arguably they can be done in Zoom or video format. In some cases, the recruitment process reflects a multiple mini interview. It's a little bit harder to set up on a video conference, could be done. So the sense is there's going to be some delays around this, particularly for certain specialty training groups. And here's, a bit of a scan around this. And this is where we see a bit of a point of difference. So we see on the New South Wales Health site, they're signalling there's going to be a bit of a delay in recruitment. And by the way, that link doesn't take you to the right link. The site, I'll show you where the site is in a second. So needs to be corrected, that link, New South Wales Health. So you go to you scroll down here and there's a link that says 2021 Junior Medical Officer Recruitment Campaign, and that is the appropriate position to go to. And you can see some information about what's happening in the campaign. So is it going to happen? Yes. The federal, the ministers across the country, those involved, the health ministers have said that the clinical year must commence. Is JMO recruitment going to be different this year? There's going to need to be some changes. The medical colleges are going to have an impact on recruitment, particularly one of the knock-on effects here is that if you can't do certain exams, you're kind of in a bit of a holding pattern for a while, and that's going to mean that you need the current position area as a trainee, so other people can't come into it, and there's maybe gaps at the advanced training level, and that's going to have some effects on the system in terms of certain bottlenecks, etc. And maybe it doesn't just make sense to recruit to certain jobs. For example, if you're recruiting to a whole bunch of new advanced trainee roles which rely on people passing exams and no one's had the chance to pass an exam, it doesn't really make sense to recruit to that particular job then, does it? So there's going to be an impact, and New South Wales Health is still not sure when they're going to publish their campaign dates. But they've said this does not affect interns, and we're seeing evidence around that. PMCV, this is Victoria, it's the second biggest state for population in Australia. You can see that they list all these things under their match program. They've only got the radiology registrar one up at the moment, which is an early one, but that's been postponed. However, we go over to Queensland, everything seems to be on schedule, as it does in WA. So I think the message there is that some states are, particularly the ones that are doing quicker and better in terms of the suppression effort, like Western Australia, getting on with things again, and they're going to start up their recruitment, maybe with some changes, maybe with not some jobs not advertised because we're waiting for colleges. But that's going to put pressure back on the Victorias and the New South Wales to get on with things. So as I showed in that earlier slide, I think, it's going to be maybe a slight delay with maybe some jobs not recruited to, but we're going to have a fairly normalish looking recruitment cycle, probably with the addition of adding in Zoom for interviews rather than doing a whole bunch of live interviews. So let's just hop over and look at some of the college sites. So here is the RANG's site, and you can see that, yes, selection is still going ahead. There's going to be some changes. They are going to use Zoom technology to conduct their interviews. But then we go over to the RACS site, which is the College of Surgeons, and selection in 2020 for the 2021 intake is suspended until further notice. And my info tells me that RACS is trying to see if it can delay things to a point where panels can assemble to do the selection. The way they normally do that is they book a hotel and get a whole bunch of specialists and others from around the country to assemble in a certain location, and the trainees come in for interviews in rooms and things. And so it's done in a central way. I would think you could do this with video, and maybe they need to think about that as a plan B. But at the moment, college surgeon training is delayed. And then let's just look at the College of Physicians, which supplies a lot of the medical registrars and paediatric registrars in hospitals. Well, here you see the difference. Because the College of Physicians is not directly involved in selection, it just plays a role by determining the number of posts and what the criteria should be for selecting people. So really the way that works is the hospital will recruit and then trainees apply to the college. So at the moment, RACP doesn't have an interview process for trainees, so they should, in theory, be able to select people into training pretty efficiently and effectively, regardless of COVID. And that's probably going to be important because a lot of the jobs that get advertised in the annual medical recruitment are for what's called basic physician training type roles and medical registrar roles, which keep the hospitals going. So the thing is, as I say, Australia's being fortunate, proactive, really good at suppressing this virus at the moment. Fingers crossed that keeps up, and no one would want to see any different around that. You can see we're flattening out the curve. Number of new cases are dropping off. This data's coming from the ABC website. A number of states in Australia haven't seen a few cases for a few days, or in the case of Northern Territory, a few weeks. So definitely things are improving, and not the crisis that we originally predicted that we were preparing for. And we obviously had to prepare for that crisis. We made a lot of changes in society and our health system to cope with all of that. And one of the things we were thinking about was, do we need more doctors and other health professionals to help cope with an influx of patients and changes in the system? And that just hasn't happened. So unlike in, other countries around the world, we're not going to the extremes. We're not having to think about, repurposing medical students into early doctor roles like they are in the United Kingdom. And so what that means is for IMGs, the prospects really haven't changed much. The number of ad hoc jobs being advertised currently on the jobs boards is the same amount, if actually a bit less than it generally is, and nothing's really altered there. There might be some opportunities because of some of the bottleneck issues, and perhaps, maybe, hopefully not, but if some of the medical students aren't able to graduate towards the end of the year, that might present some opportunities. But and so a lot of folks have signed up for the various expressions of interest, like this one on the New South Wales website. But this one clearly says you have to be currently registered. So this was like maybe targeting people coming out of retirement, etc. Here's the one on the Queensland side, which shows that some EOIs have closed down, and what I'm hearing is that very few people have been contacted out of this process. So again, it's not really that we've needed the additional workforce that we thought we had. In fact, a lot of people who have been redeployed for COVID purposes are starting to be redeployed back again to the normal role, which is, good, but it doesn't mean that there are really any new opportunities at this point in time. And the jobs boards, as I say, are sort of eerily quiet, much quieter than they even usually are at this time of the year, and not showing a lot of opportunities for international medical graduates. This sole job for a resident medical officer who's advertised here in New South Wales, well, if you skip down towards the bottom, you see that the selection criteria show you that they're looking for someone with general registration with the medical board. So wouldn't be available to an IMG doctor to apply for. So what can we do in this situation? What should you be doing? How should you be preparing? Yes, it's uncertain times, but my strong feeling is that some things are already back on track, like medical internship. Pretty clear that the annual recruitment campaigns are going to go ahead in one way, shape or form. Most of the colleges, I think, will get their selection process on track in some way. So if you know the career that you're thinking about, you should continue to think about. But you always need a plan B, and definitely need a plan B at this point in time. But be prepared. Have all your documents, your resume in order, have your referees in place to go. Don't leave it to when applications open. Be ready for that stuff. Think about quantifying and qualifying your achievements. Particularly at this time, you may be doing something extraordinary at the moment. Make sure you're logging that. You're thinking about how you demonstrated some other skills in medicine that are attractive for future employers. This is a perfect environment for you to shine in your resume. Invest in some interview prep, even if you're not certain when that interview is going to come up still. Interviews are important skills. The thing is that we don't use them regularly, and so they degrade as skills. They're only relevant when you're going for a job. But it's important to spend a bit of time and invest in that skill. So what I'd suggest is, if you're not clear when your next job's going to come up, now's the time to actually do at least a little bit of practice to brush off the cobwebs and get yourself back in that mode of having to practice answer interview questions and feeling authentic and feeling confident in the way you're talking. And definitely review your video conference setup. I've done a video about that, and I'll post a link in the description below to it. But it's most likely that your next job interview is going to be on video. And there's a trick. There are a number of aspects to doing a good video conference interview. And it's definitely worth investing in the right setup and practicing your presentation in a video form. So that leads us to what we're doing in Advanced Med, what I'm doing on the Career Doctor channel with my company Advanced Med. Every year for the last 3 years, we've run a medical careers workshop to help you guys get better prepared for the job application and selection process. And we're doing that again, but this year it's going to be in an online format. Hand on heart, we were planning to do this anyway, take you through the reason, but this is obviously going to work much better for you guys in a COVID environment. Certainly we wouldn't be able to do our normal workshop, which is a face-to-face workshop at this point in time. So our workshop pulls together some of the best speakers and the best experts on the full gamut of the job application process, from pulling your resume together and getting referees through to tackling difficult questions in the interview. And it's highly rated by attendees, and people get a lot out of it. The thing is, we run it in central locations. I run it in places like Sydney and on invitation places like Dubbo and Orange, but I'm often given questions from people saying, hey, can you bring it to Melbourne? Hey, can you bring it to Perth? Hey, can you bring it to New Zealand? Well, with the online format, we can give everyone who needs access to this information the access to the information. In the format that we're going to run it this year, it's going to start at the end of May, and we're going to run it through to June, July and August, and even longer if needed. Talks will be live, but there'll also be replays available for you guys to catch up on if you're not actually able to get to that live talk. And if there's a particular talk that there's a lot of interest in getting repeated, we can organise to get that repeated in a live format as well, so you can engage with the presenters like you often want to do. So it's a virtual online medical careers workshop. As I said, we're bringing our normal workshop content plus lots of extra topics to you guys in an online format at your convenience. We've got a bunch of speakers lined up. 8 really great speakers already locked in, and more to come. I just have to kind of work out the date and the time that works best for them. And as a special bonus for you guys for watching this video all the way through, there's a coupon that you can enter to get 25% off either the selective or the all-inclusive packages for the summit. Just go and click on one of those ticket prices, and then when you get to the next stage of the cart process where it says have a coupon, enter Career Doctor and apply, and you will get 25% off the ticket price. Just for you, for watching all the way through. the video as a bonus for being a member of the community. Can't do better than that. So I do hope that roundup's been helpful to you guys in terms of planning for the next stages in your medical career. We'd love to hear some comments from you. Are you planning to still go ahead with your recruitment intentions this year? What have you heard from colleges, employers, etc.? What are your concerns? Let me know in the comments below. Subscribe if you're finding these videos useful, and I will see you in the next video and hopefully online in our online summit. Bye for now. Video.